Thought I'd make a video on installing a carbon fox rally tower to the Husqvarna 701 Enduros 2023 model. I've just received my carbon fox rally tower. It's an absolute work of art. Really can't wait to get it fitted. There's not really a massive amount of information on the internet about them. Sort of images and stuff are relatively sort of few and far between. I've spoken to a couple of people who've got them. I've got some pictures and videos from them, and also spoken with Carbon Fox quite a lot. Really helpful guys. Loads of information. They can sort of sort you out of everything. So the website's really good. But there was a few things that I wasn't clear on, and they cleared everything up straight away. So basically, I'm not sure how this video is going to go because the install is quite lengthy. What I'll probably do is just stop at sort of key points and just give you a rough idea. It's not going to be a step-by-step like some of the other videos. I'm not going to tell you exactly what tools you need and exactly how to do it, because I think it's just going to be way too long if we do it like that. So yeah, I'll stop as I go along, try and point out all the key bits. I'll try not get carried away. I always do when I'm fitting bits to the bike. It's one of the things I enjoy, building bikes as much as I do riding them, so it's easy to get carried away, especially with something that looks as gorgeous as this. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it'll be useful, and maybe at the end of it, you know, you might be looking at different rally towers, because there's a lot on the market for these. You know, there's probably 7 or 8 options, maybe more, and there's a lot of price range. You know, there's a lot of variant in the price, so maybe this might help your decision making. I know for me it took quite a long time to make a decision on what I was going to go for, so yeah, we'll see how we get on, and hopefully you like the video. So one thing as well, you're not sort of left on your own. When you buy the kit, they don't provide a hard copy. I've printed this ready to do this. This is like a guide on how to install, so it's like real decent hefty guide, 29 pages or something, all in colour, loads of pictures. So they send you a digital copy of this. I'll print it out because it's just easier for me. I'm you know, a bit of a tech phobe, and I don't like having my laptop in the garage because it'll only get dropped. So yeah, I've printed off copies, so hopefully, you know, that should make things a lot easier. So first things first, you're going to have to remove the standard headlight. Fairly straightforward. There's a couple of screws on each side. Take them out, and then you're going to have to take the headlight off and disconnect all the plug behind it. So once you've got the headlight off, just then 4 screws at the side, and then just pull it forward basically, and it just pops out. You need to snip all of the cable ties in the back of here. So there's a load of cable ties holding this loom all together. So you need to snip it all, and then so it's all nice and free. And then the next job is to start disconnecting all of these cables. You can basically pull the loom through out of this sort of headlight backing, and then take the indicators off, which is just, I think they're normally 14 or 12 mil nut. So I've disconnected everything at the front here. I did decide to label them in the end. There's a lot of them that are very obvious, but there's a few that are similar, so I thought at the end it's just going to make things easier to connect out, so I've just put a letter on each end. So C will marry up with C, vice versa, all the way up. Yeah, so there's quite a lot. There's another connector as well, so you need to take the seat off, take this little front panel off, and then I believe this one will need to be disconnected as well to feed through. Once you're all disconnected, there's 2 screws, you can just about see them at the end of my fingers. So those 2 hold the sort of back plate to the headlight on, so you can disconnect them. And then the next step, you've got 2 options really, because these cables for the front brake, they run through this. So the option is you can disconnect from your caliper and route it through, so you don't have to cut this piece of plastic, or you can cut the piece of plastic, just cut a slot in it along the side or along the bottom here, just to allow the cables to run through, because I'm probably not going to use this again, and even when you do reuse it, having a little slot in the back is going to make no real issue. So to save me disconnecting and having to re-bleed everything, I'm just going to make a little cut through there to allow that out. So what I done next was I fed through, because I was going to make the cut, but there was a lot of cables and stuff in the way, so I fed through as many cables I could up through this gap, and the same up through this gap. So basically get as much as you can through. You'll end up with this loom, the main one coming through the back, that's fine, we'll feed that through afterwards. So yeah, you just want some movement on it basically. So I've disconnected everything I can and fed it all through. The only other thing I've done as well is I've taken off the side panel and then just this little screw in the corner here, so you can get a bit of movement on this plastic panel. And I've disconnected three connectors that are down in the corner by the airbox, because they're going to have to feed up through back out the front. So disconnected that to give us some room, and then we can feed them through nicely. So just going through this, I'll show you where. So where the main loom comes through, I'm just using a hacksaw blade and just running it straight line, straight cut down there, and then we're going to have to cut somewhere at the top. I'm probably just going to cut along this corner here. There we go, finally out. So I just ran a straight line down there, kind of straight, and then instead of cutting across the top, I didn't want to cut across the top because if you want to reuse this at a later date, I didn't want it to look shit from the top. So what I did, as you can see inside, full focus, I cut in a straight line down from that corner and then straight across the side. So then this side piece is fairly well covered up by the headlight shroud sort of thing when it's all back together. So yeah, probably not so noticeable. Alright, okay, so this was a little bit tricky, just fiddly really, getting this in. So this is the mount for the tower. So this is, you know, the thing that holds all the tower weight and everything onto the frame. So it bolts around the headstock. Having that screw out there, so that bit of plastic flaps about. And I've also took the one off this side, so you've got a bit of room underneath there, so you can get your fingers in behind there. So what you got to do is basically, to get this in, you've got two different U-shaped bolts, or two different lengths. A long one at the bottom and a short one at the top. The longer one at the bottom, just turn the bars so you can see. So you have to disconnect, take the two bolts out that hold the radiator reservoir on, so that you can get the lower bolt through the gap. And then I haven't tried putting it back on yet, but hopefully with everything loose you'll then be able to get those two bolts back in the reservoir. So I'm now going to give that a go. Run into a quite a small issue, but needs a little bit of time to get it sorted. So I've had to take the airbox out so I could get to the reservoir for the radiator. Basically the little cutout on this, they might all differ a little bit to be fair. Didn't allow quite enough space for the clamp to fit. So when you went to line this back up on the frame, the holes were sort of like half a hole out. So what I've done is dremeled this little gap out a little bit more. So then when you put it back on the frame, the bolts will go back in, because the clamp goes sort of, the lower clamp for the rally kit goes through this gap. So basically there wasn't quite enough space, but I couldn't get to it where it was, so I had to take the airbox out so that I could get enough space to modify it slightly. I'm at the point where the bracket's loosely fitted to the headstock, and what I've done is I've offered up the rally tower, or the main sort of tub of the tower, and I've routed all the cables from the right hand side into the tower. And then what you have to do is connect up what you can get to inside. This is without any of the lights or the instruments there at the moment. So the next job will be fitting the standard dash and lights and stuff in position and feeding the wires down to meet these ones, connecting them up inside the tower. And then again on this side, there's a lot less on this side. I've fed these through. So what I'm going to do I'm going to run like a quad lock charger in here, so for a wireless charger for my phone. So I'll run the cable through this side because there's a lot more room. So yeah, at this point it's really just taking time to get the wires neat, connect everything up correctly before you start tightening anything up. All this at the moment I've just slave fitted, just nice and loose. Alright, update of where we are. I'll be honest, I can't remember where we left you last time. I think I was then connecting up all the connectors inside there. So it took a little while, to be honest. Took some time, feeding your wires through, getting them nice, figuring out what has to go where. So I've now got the headlight unit on, that's all connected up. So the cables for the headlight unit go up through a little plate in the back here. That was probably the hardest bit, was connecting up the headlight plug out of all the plugs, just because the new harness for the new lights is quite sort of stiff, not very flexible. So getting it to come down to meet the the existing plug was a little bit difficult, but we got there in the end. So the only thing I haven't fitted so far is the indicators, which I've got the two in here. All this is just slaved on, so I've just got the airbox back in. So I've routed some charging bit. I've got like a what do you call it? One of those little thingies on the wall. So connected that up, and also connected up wireless charger for the quad lock. At the moment everything's slaved on. This is all just together to make sure all the wiring is all back together and working. She runs lovely, so yeah, it's just a matter of doing all the fancy bits now, making it look pretty. I'm going to figure out where to mount my heated grips. I've also got to figure out where to mount the USB plug, because there's no set point for that. So what I might do is just cut a little hole in the side of here, or here maybe. But I'll probably run the bike for a little while, because I don't really use that, to be honest, but it's nice to have it there. So I'll run the bike without it and just sort of figure out where, where it's going to sit nice. But I mean, I've been on the bike since about 6:30, 7 o'clock this evening. It's now nearly 11:30, so it takes a little bit of time, but I'm doing things methodically and nicely. So yeah, I'm probably going to call it quits tonight, and then the absolute carnage to garages. I'll get the screen and panels and stuff mounted back up tomorrow. So yeah, tomorrow morning we'll be finishing up all the wiring, getting all neat, cable tying everything together. There's also a cable guide that goes on the fork leg to go on. Yeah, and I think that's about it, and then start putting things back together. But yeah, really happy so far. It's not the easiest job in the world. I mean, if you've got no real mechanical background, maybe not the best thing to go ahead and do by yourself, but if you're sort of happy stripping your bike down and stuff and doing the odd bits and pieces, it is doable. It's just patience, that's all you need. There's not a lot of room to work. They have left, there's a hole here, there's a hole underneath here, one at the top and one at the back here, so there is access, but the holes are pretty small. And I don't know if you can see, my hands are getting a bit scratched up forcing them inside the holes that they don't really want to fit in. So yeah, I'll resume the video tomorrow, if I remember. Hopefully I will. Yeah, we'll get everything mounted up. At the minute, I've got everything loose. Nothing's tight. So they said get everything together and then tighten everything at the same time at the end, sort of thing. So that's what I'll do. Right, we shall continue in the morning. Good morning. We are back in the garage. And yeah, cracking on. Where we left you last night, we were sort of all wired up, everything was slave fitted together. Started the bike, made sure all the plugs were done up, everything's fine. So that's where we're at. So I've just disassembled these top two plates just to gain access to the holes through the main tower. I've installed the indicators to the, I think it's at the Track bracket, so you can actually go race like proper enduros with these towers, with all the, everything mounts up what you need. So this also gives you space for your indicators, so that fits in there. So before we do that, we need to connect up the indicators, then put the little cover plate on, and then this can go on. I think it's going to be a little bit fiddly. We're just going to have to feed the wires up through the top of the tower, through where the headlight ones go, and then get the cables down inside, connect them up. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, I did get carried away, I think. I can't remember where I last done a bit of video, but we fitted the indicator brackets. The little plate behind it went on first, then the indicator bracket. You route the cables up through the back of the tower, connect them up. This is all connected up. All I've done is routed a cable through for my quad lock for the wireless charger. So I need to fit that yet. It just needs a little bit of fettling, a little spacer making. I've also fitted my heated grip controller down on this little bracket here. Just drilled a couple of holes in it. It's nice and out of the way. I'm always going to put it on the side, but here you can see it nicely. Yeah, the screen is relatively easy. There's some instructions on how to assemble fasteners. They're just Zeus fasteners, like quarter turn fasteners. The top up here sits on 2 pins with rubber inserts. Yeah, and basically with the panel off, or the side panel off, you've got that one screw behind here that picks up in the back of this panel, and then you've got another quick release to clamp these two parts together. Yeah, I'm mega impressed. The quality is amazing. It takes a little while to fit. You just got to be methodical and take your time with things. I've also fitted the provided by Carbon Fox the cable guard or cable guide. Sorry. All I need to do now is just a little bit of cable management, cable ties things up, make things nice and neat. But yeah, she's pretty much there. I'm just waiting on a couple of screws for this, and we're good to go really. A couple of cable ties, job's good. And so yeah, like I say, the quality is incredible. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to ride to see what it's like. The one of the biggest things I did not like about this bike is the amount of wind buffeting. I have to ride to my local trails. It's an hour on relatively main roads. Anything over 40-50 mile an hour is pretty horrible because you're sat right on top of the bike, so you're just getting from sort of the waist up, getting battered by the wind. So this should make, I'm really hoping this should make a really big difference. So really looking forward to getting out and riding it. Yeah, and also the navigation is really nice. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have my quad lock for my phone up here for navigating lanes and stuff, but then also, like I say, I plan to do some rally moto events with a road book. So this is quite a versatile setup. You can get a different top plate as well. This plate is interchangeable. There's 2 different plates. I've got the like Explorer one or whatever, you know, for mainly road riders, but they also do a rally one where it extends up the top here as well, and you can put your trip meters and ICO and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'll probably be going digital road book, so this space here is should be good enough for a nice little Samsung tablet or something like that to run digital road books on. So yeah, if you've got any questions, fire away. I'll be more than happy to help out. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you're interested or want to see anything specifically, give me a shout. What I'll do is I'll just turn the lights on. That's another big improvement with this, is the standard lights, just like I don't even know how to describe it. Terrible. But yeah, you got position light, high beam, low beam, and then your indicators have got the mounts for just behind the screen. So yeah, looks really good. Can't wait to ride it. I'll keep you updated.